Okay, so what if I told you that the secret to getting more done wasn't about grinding harder, suffering more, or waking up at 5 a.m.? What if the real key to productivity is actually joy? I know, it sounds a little out there, but let's dive into this idea. We've all heard this, right? It's the gospel of hustle culture. This idea that greatness is forged in the fires of misery, that success is something you earn by enduring pain. It sounds inspiring, it's definitely intense, and for most of us, it's just how we're programmed to think about work. But what if that whole philosophy isn't just wrong? What if it's the very thing that's holding us back from doing our best work and, actually enjoying our lives? That's the big question we're going to tackle today. To really see why this old model is so broken, let's zoom in on a really high-stakes environment with the story of a junior doctor who pushed that whole suffer now idea to its absolute limit. Okay, so picture this. It's Christmas Day. Everyone else is at home with family, and a brand new doctor, Ali Abdaal, is stuck managing an entire hospital ward all by himself. And why? Because of a rookie mistake. He completely forgot to fill out his holiday request form. The day just immediately spirals into chaos. He's drowning in paperwork, a patient goes into cardiac arrest, and it feels like every single second there's a new urgent demand from a nurse or another patient. The pressure is just immense. And the breaking point, it wasn't some huge dramatic medical event. Nope. It was something small, something almost silly. He dropped a tray of syringes, and they just scattered all over the floor. And in that one simple moment of failure, his whole system just collapsed. See, his whole life, the answer to any problem had always been the same: just work harder. But now, that wasn't working. The more he pushed, the more exhausted he got, the worse his mood became, and honestly, the less effective he was as a doctor. He was just a tired, useless version of himself. And then, a piece of advice from an old mentor just popped into his head, and this is where everything changed. He realized the problem wasn't his effort, the problem was the diagnosis itself. He started to question that entire fundamental idea that suffering is the path to success. So this personal crisis led him to a really fascinating piece of science he'd totally forgotten about from psychology class, one that holds the key to a completely different way of thinking about productivity. And it all starts with a simple little puzzle. Okay, take a look at this. You've got a candle, a book of matches, and a box of thumbtacks. Your job is to attach that candle to a cork board on the wall in a way that the wax won't drip down onto the table. Go ahead, take a second. How would you do it? Most people try to tack the candle right to the wall, or maybe they try to melt some of the wax to use it like glue. But there's a much more creative solution. And there it is. The really elegant answer is to empty the box of tacks, tack the box to the wall, and then use it as a perfect little shelf for the candle. You have to stop seeing the box as just a container and see it as part of the solution. Now here's where it gets really, really interesting. A psychologist named Alice Eisen ran this experiment, but she added a twist. She gave one group of participants a small bag of candy beforehand, just a tiny little mood boost. And get this, that group solved the problem way faster. Feeling good literally made them smarter and more creative. So, why does a good mood make us better problem solvers? I mean, this isn't just a fluke. There's a really powerful psychological theory that explains exactly what's happening inside our brains. It's called the broaden and build theory. Basically, the idea is that positive emotions aren't just for fun, they serve a real purpose. They literally broaden our minds, which lets us see more possibilities, like seeing a thumbtack box as a shelf. And then over time, this builds up our resources, things like resilience and creativity. And this kicks off what's called a virtuous cycle. It's an upward spiral. Feeling good gives you mental and emotional energy. That energy makes you more productive, which leads to you getting things done. And that feeling of achievement, well, that makes you feel good, starting the whole amazing loop all over again. This isn't just a theory for solving little puzzles either. Let's take a look at how this exact same principle helped one of the greatest scientific minds of the 20th century make his biggest breakthrough. So after working on the atomic bomb and dealing with the tragic death of his wife, the physicist Richard Feynman was just completely burned out. The joy was gone. He was a physics professor at a top university who wasn't actually doing any physics. Then one day, he's just sitting in the cafeteria, bored, and he sees a student throw a plate up in the air. And he noticed something kind of weird. The red logo on the plate was spinning faster than the plate itself was wobbling. It was a totally trivial, useless observation.
But instead of just dismissing it, he decided to play with the problem. He wasn't trying to solve some huge mystery of the universe. He actually told his colleagues, "I'm just doing it for the fun of it." He was reconnecting with that sense of playful curiosity that made him fall in love with physics in the first place. And here is the absolutely incredible part. That playful exploration of a wobbling plate. It led him directly to the insights that would eventually win him the Nobel Prize. Play wasn't a distraction from his serious work. It was the path to his greatest work. So the big takeaway here is that we can all be a little more like Feynman. We can actually intentionally inject a bit of play and joy into our own work. So let's look at a super simple experiment you can try like today. I mean, you probably know this line from Mary Poppins, right? And it might sound a little childish, but it actually holds a really deep psychological truth. We can actively find the fun in just about any task. And this is the tool. It's a simple question on a Post-it note. The next time you're facing a task you're dreading, just ask yourself, what would this look like if it were fun? Maybe that means blasting an epic movie soundtrack while you do your taxes, or turning cleaning the kitchen into a race against the clock. Whatever it is, the answer totally changes the feeling of the work itself. And this right here is the fundamental shift in mindset we're talking about. We've been told our whole lives that if we achieve success, then we'll finally feel good. But all the science and stories are showing us that the exact opposite is true. When you start to prioritize feeling good, success becomes a natural side effect. So the final question I'll leave you with isn't about how you can work harder or be more disciplined. It's this: how are you going to find the fun? How will you make your work feel good starting today?